Hello, and thank you for joining me. Um, these calls are never aesthetically pleasing or at a convenient time, and so here I am, towel on my head. Um, what I am hearing so clearly right now is that we are in the process of ascension, but our definition of that is is not wrong. It's just we are wanting to get somewhere much quicker than what we're going to get there. And that is causing a lot of resistance in us. The part of the ascension process that I feel like we as a collective seem to be embracing right now is creating a new language and realizing the barriers that the language we speak are creating between us. I had a realization yesterday. I speak one language, English. However, when I am with whomever, I speak a very different English. And so when I am with, say, my mother, I speak English and use certain words that I know that she can connect with. Whereas when I'm with my friend, um, I'm going to use language and connect with them on a different level. When I'm with my client, I'm going to use different language. When I'm with my student, when I'm with my child. And so as you can see in those interactions, we speak one language, but we use that language and interpret it in a way that creates reactions in us um, based on what each word means to us as an individual. And so as we begin to reframe our language and become more and more aware of how it's affecting us and how we react to it, we can begin to use words that we're less resistant to. Some of the words that I want to bring up today that I'm finding that are creating resistance in me is the word resistant, the word block, the word surrender. Um, these words have at their core meaning to me, they mean something that feels bad. When I think of the word surrender, I think about giving up. I don't want to give up. I want to open. And so that's what I've used to replace that word. And I'm still learning. As you see, I'm still using that word resistant. But we're retraining our mind. And those of you who have been with me a while were with me at the start of this process for me in discovering this tool of reprogramming the mind in a way that allows us to create less resistance in our bodies and our minds and our emotions, and allows us to gain more control as we move more into flow. And so when I'm telling myself that I want to open and opening feels good, I'm not going to create personal resistance around that opening. And so, do you see how we're learning to communicate with ourselves in a way that uses words that make us want to move in the right direction or in a direction that feels good or better, rather than causing us to cower in a corner? Surrender. I don't like that word surrender. Or, leaping into faith. Well, that sounds like, I could crash and burn. And so, is that the language that's right for me? And how can I begin to frame this in a different way for myself? This topic ties into our signs and signals with the universe. As we get good at creating a language within ourselves and navigating our own internal signs and signals, we then begin to create a language of the universe as well, where we begin to recognize these universal signs and signals in this new open way, so that we're not feeling that fear, that anxiety, that tightness in the chest of closing off. And what I'm learning about that tightness, and it's such an important thing, is that when we feel that tightness, we are actually closing our heart space, and we are creating a barrier between ourselves and flow. And that's why it feels bad. And so as we're able to breathe into that and allow ourselves to naturally open, we begin to feel a warmness fill us that allows us peace and brings us more into our truth. And so let's begin to open and notice that flow and begin to notice what is causing that restriction for us and how we can begin to work with that in a way that aligns us and allows us to move forward instead of staying ever stuck in this place that we